So over the weekend, I went to see Terminator Dark Fate, and I pretty much went in with just medium expectation for this movie, because usually when I go in to see a movie, whether it has a lot of hype, whether it doesn't, I usually go in with minimum expectations. And honestly, for the Terminator franchise, this was definitely so, because if you pretty much have seen the Terminator for many times, whether it's the movies, whether it's the TV show, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, or even some of the material that pretty much didn't make sense, the Terminator franchise, I can honestly say, is pretty much the most confusing mess that I have ever pretty much seen in my entire life. I can honestly say that the first two Terminators were the only good ones, and Terminator 3 right alongside of it. But then right after that, it seems like every single Terminator that has come out pretty much doesn't even know if it wants to follow the original story or not. The only one that I can honestly say that I actually enjoyed after the first three Terminators was actually Terminator Salvation, because at least that was a story of what happened after the events of Terminator 3. And that was just about it. But after that, it seems like every single Terminator that has ever come out at the time just keeps throwing in so much crap to where it will confuse you, and it just irritated the absolute crap out of me. Now, I went into this movie with less expectation, which was like really the most awkward thing that I have ever experienced going to the movies, because literally when you go and see a movie, you usually see a lot of advertisements and stuff. There was a good few people in the movie as well, but then it was so awkward when it was just dead silent in the theater. Like, I mean, the advertisement was going, but there was no sound that was coming out of the screen. I thought that the entire like theater was broken or something. Like there was something going on with the speaker that you can't even get the sound out of here. And I'm sitting here worried, and I'm like, so did I actually spend like $17 to go see a movie only to not hear the entire thing? Are they at least going to put subtitles on it? And that was literally my initial thought, like me spending $17 to go see a movie, and the movie I can't even hear it. And I'm sitting here like, come on, man. But then the next thing you know, later on, the speakers pretty much went up. So after that uncomfortable experience, I actually sat down and watched the Terminator movie. I enjoyed every single moment of it. I mean, I know that there's going to be some mixed reviews out there about this movie and whatnot, and saying this. And I know a lot of fans who pretty much follow the Terminator series for the longest time. Some of them are going to enjoy it, some of them not. I'm not going to speak on their half. I'm just going to speak on my half. I think that this was the best Terminator movie that has ever come out in most recent years. Like I said, I enjoyed the four Terminator movies, and the rest of them I don't care about. But this one was actually gold. And for those of you that are pretty much wondering, is this really an official sequel to the first and the second Terminator? Yes, but in that timeline. As we already established, there has to be different in multiple timelines. In one timeline, John Connor pretty much leads Resistance, and it leads on to Salvation. And in another timeline, there's the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and then in another timeline, there's Genesis. We already know that the timeline is really just confusing. And if we learned anything from Dragon Ball, the timeline and the different timeline elements of it is pretty much confusing. It's kind of like going into a different dimension within the time stream. But let's go ahead and get right into the movie. So first off, James Cameron was true to his word. This is a retcon of the entire Terminator series, which makes it the official sequel to Terminator 2. So 30 years after Terminator 2 happened, and we pretty much see that this normal girl pretty much living out her life in Mexico City, pretty much working engineering and whatnot. Then all of a sudden, a Terminator comes out of nowhere, and this Terminator, I'm gonna be honest, this is the most terrifying Terminator I have ever seen. He's more terrifying than the T-1000 from Terminator 2. That dude was scary. This one is just terrifying. Try and think of the Terminator chick from Terminator 3 mixed with that guy, and it's just the most terrifying freaking thing that you ever freaking seen for it. It's kind of like, his skin is kind of like the same as the T-1000 from Terminator 2, but underneath it's the exoskeleton of a Terminator. And it's just like they're both like sentient beings. So it's like one is a Terminator that acts as a skin to another Terminator, and that Terminator has no skin at all, but he's basically like the endoskeleton of that Terminator. I'm sorry, did this confuse you? This confused me right when I saw it. So this Terminator is hunting down, or Terminators, if you want me to be critical. So these Terminators are hunting down this one girl because apparently in this timeline she's the one that leads the resistance. They're hunting down this girl because apparently she pretty much leads a resistance against the machine. So they're sending a Terminator back in time in order to execute her, to keep her from keep that from happening. And to pretty much send a counter of that, they pretty much send their own soldier who is cybernetically enhanced to pretty much rival that of a Terminator. So she goes back in time, tries to protect the girl and everything. And you think that this is pretty much the same story as the first movie. Like, the girl gets threatened by a Terminator, the hero from the future pretty much comes to the past to save her and whatnot, and then they both defeat the Terminator and go on their merry way. Nope. Not like that at all. As it turns out, Linda Hamilton, the original person who played Sarah Connor, is in this movie. And I'm going to be honest, I liked her better than Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie. Like, he's in this movie, but I like her better than him in this movie. Like, she is literally everything that you remember from Terminator 2, except more badass, more cranky, and she spews out, like, curse words almost the same as Deadpool. And also when she shoots something, it's kind of like in the same type of funny nature as Deadpool. Like, she shoots something, cracks a joke, and then next thing you know, she's on and off about her merry way. As a matter of fact, this is directed by the same dude who did Deadpool, so I shouldn't even be surprised about that. But it's like when she comes on the screen, it's like everything becomes even more fun. Like, she's a potty mouth, she's an expert at dealing with Terminators, she's wanted in the United States, she pretty much like paranoid, and she is just probably like the best character in the entire movie. I'm dead serious. Like, I don't even care about the girl or the cybernetically enhanced chick. Sarah Connor is where it's at. This is the original OG. Ripley, eat your heart out. But when Arnold Schwarzenegger makes it into the movie, as it turns out, this is not the Terminator that we know from Terminator 2. As a matter of fact, this is a different model that was sent back in time, and you know, he pretty much shown that he can age. Well, his outward appearance showed that he can age. I don't know how that is possible. Maybe Skynet has a manual or something that like pretty much explains the aging process of a freaking Terminator. You know, like a machine underneath human skin. Like, if you're telling me that they are that technologically advanced where they can make skin that can age, my God. But yeah, he's aged and everything. He pretty much like wants to help Sarah and the rest of them pretty much protect this girl. So he trains them and pretty much helps them pretty much like fight Terminators. I say train, but the training only lasted for like all of a minute. Like, it was all of a minute. Like, there was this one scene where they were teaching her how to shoot a pistol and everything, and she was doing horrible of it. Then all of a sudden Sarah comes out of nowhere and she's like, all right, we're cutting the bullshit. So she gets a gigantic gun. Like, I think it's an assault rifle. She gets or a shotgun. I don't even know. So she gives her a gun, puts it in her arms, holds it in place, and then she said, a Terminator killed your family. What do you do? And then just like that, the girl, she winds up shooting off the targets like it was nothing. So what was the whole point of teaching her how to use a gun? Like, you're telling me that if my family was killed by a bear, and if somebody whispered to me, a bear killed your family, what are you going to do? Apparently I'm going to have magic Deadpool skills. I mean, it could happen, but it was just the fact that it was like, I thought it was going to be like a training montage where they were going to show her progress and get better. They don't even waste time with that. They're just like, oh no, she knows how to shoot now because she wants to kill this Terminator because this Terminator ruined her life. Just like the first movie. So there was basically a lot of callbacks to the first movie, but it was just the fact that it just like gave birth to a whole new story and a whole new timeline. Basically, that's all I have to say on that one. But the movie itself was pretty much entertaining, at least with these characters. And the Terminator, like I said, is probably the scariest thing out of the entire movie. Like, seriously, you know how like in Terminator 2, that one could pretty much change the form of his clothes and everything and not even have to take it off because he's completely metal liquid and whatnot. This one can actually be metal liquid and be metal at the same time. It's like if you're dealing with one, the other one will pretty much split apart and pretty much take you down while the other one goes in for the kill. That's scary. Like, imagine, like, seriously, it's bad enough dealing with two heavy Terminators, It's bad enough dealing with that, but imagine dealing with one Terminator that's part of the other one, and then when you pretty much threaten both of them, they both pretty much separate and take you down. That is scary, and Arnie pretty much knows that firsthand, especially when they go in. The fight scenes are pretty much over the top, crazy. They're just crazier than any other action scene in any Terminator I have ever seen in my life. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Every single time when the action picks up, I'm just sitting there in my seat at the edge of it. I'm like, oh snap, there's gonna be some stupidity going on. So it's like the more I watched it, the more I was on the edge of my seat, and I was just smiling from ear to ear to the end of the movie, and I just enjoyed every single moment of it. Like I'm dead serious. I love this movie. I love the story. I love how they retconned it. I love the character of Sarah Connor, and I even love Arnie's character, honestly, because he went through a character development as well, something that you never expect a Terminator to go through. Like, it's kind of like the same as Terminator 2, when he went through a character development and actually developed human feelings and whatnot, or a conscience similar to that of a human, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's kind of like that, but here it's kind of like you feel kind of bad for him. All I can say is this movie is fantastic. This goes on my list of my top favorite movies of like this year, and I don't even go to the movies that much. I was gonna go see Addams Family, but I saw that Terminator came out. I was like, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. But anyway, if you guys have seen Terminator, what did you think about it? Did you think that it was a great addition to the Terminator timeline? Did you think it was confusing? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Leave it down in the comments below. Also, like this video if you pretty much enjoy me rambling about movies. I'm trying to pretty much like go to the movies more often to talk about my experience with them. And as far as I know, I only seen like two terrible movies this year, and I'm probably gonna make a video on it by the end of this year. But maybe if I find another movie, I'll pretty much like put it in that video as well. I don't even know yet. But honestly, guys, if you haven't seen Terminator Dark Fate, I would suggest you go check it out. Go see this movie for yourself. I enjoyed it. I love 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 it. And it's not just because of the fact that I'm a Terminator fanboy. Yes, it is. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Crazy Ken, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.